learn from experience from the best. Do you know what I mean? So like I started like looking at more of the other athletes, like not CrossFit athletes, but like Michael Phelps. Like I read the Rich Froning book before the games. Like just seeing that other amazing athletes are also human beings. You often forget that. Like before I came here and before I met Rich, he was just he was my idol. Like a guy that can win the games 4 times. Like that mental toughness is just unreal. And seeing how he approaches things, like reading his book is so awesome because now I've met everybody that are in the book. Like he told me, like, or he says in the book, like CrossFit is just hard work. Like you just have to work. And my dad is a hard worker, so I like to work hard too. So I was like, I can relate to that.
This is episode number 63 with Sara Sigmundsdottir. Hello to all of my Pursuing Health listeners. I have something important to talk to you about this week. I can't believe it, but the podcast has now been running every other week for 2 full years, and I can't thank you all enough for your enthusiasm, your feedback, and your support along the way. We have some big plans for the future, and I can't wait to share them with you as our community continues to grow. Right now, we're at a bit of a transition point. As you probably know, this month I'm starting residency, which means my time has become even more limited and much less flexible. I've greatly appreciated the help of Beyond the Whiteboard in producing the podcast for the past 2 years, but the time has come for me to consider bringing on an additional sponsor or 2 in order to keep delivering great content on a consistent basis, and also to prevent myself from becoming absolutely crazy and sleep deprived this year. I can make a few promises to you up front about this. The only sponsors that I'll bring on the podcast will be products or services that I use myself and that have brought some incredible value to my own life. I'll be able to tell you about my personal experience with them and how they might help you too. I also will bring on sponsors that are willing to give you, as a listener of Pursuing Health, some extra value that you would not find elsewhere. For example, in the form of a discount code or a special offer. I also will not interrupt the content of the episode in order to tell you about a sponsor. That content will always stay at the beginning or at the end. So I hope you understand this small change and that Pursuing Health sponsors will add some value to your own life. If you're not interested, no worries, just fast forward through the first few minutes of the episode. Thanks again for listening and for your ongoing support. And with that, let's get started by hearing a little bit about my first sponsor, MobilityWOD. This episode is brought to you by MobilityWOD. Do you struggle to get into good positions in your training and workouts? Are your movement compensations causing you undue pain and grief? MWOD's belief is that every human being should be able to perform basic maintenance on themselves. For nearly 10 years, MobilityWOD has been the go-to for the world's best athletes and teams. Do you know what hundreds of Olympic and world-class athletes, professional teams in the NFL, MLB, basketball, hockey, rugby, and soccer, and dozens of universities all have in common? They use MobilityWOD to train and compete at their best. I first took Dr. Kelly Starrett's movement and mobility course in 2013, and since then have read his books and followed his videos for ideas on how to address my own movement restrictions. But sometimes having all this information can become overwhelming, which is why I think the real genius is in the MWOD subscription. As part of this subscription, you have access to not only hundreds of hours of video content that can be filtered based on your specific questions, but also a daily 10-minute MobilityWOD video. You just log in and follow Kelly's instructions as if he is there coaching you in person for 10 minutes per day. You may pick up certain exercises that you wish to incorporate on a regular basis before or after your workouts. But at the very least, by following this daily program, you know you are addressing a wide range of movement patterns and body parts on a regular basis without having to think about it. I often do these sessions first thing in the morning or before bed as a way to wind down from the day. In addition, you have access to an on-ramp sequence and a 14-day mobility challenge that helps you understand the basics and identify the areas you personally need to focus on. You can lean on the MWOD community and discussion boards to learn from others who have been through similar situations or injuries. And if you need more personalized help, you can use the MWOD list to find a like-minded practitioner in your area. It's easy to become part of the MobilityWOD community, but for being a Pursuing Health listener, you can receive 20% off an annual membership with code JulieFoucher. That's JulieFoucher. Just visit www.mobilitywod.com. Full potential, full power. Welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm Julie Foucher, family medicine resident and former CrossFit Games athlete. Here, I bring to you information and inspiration from experts and everyday individuals for how to use lifestyle to maximize health. Thank you so much for joining me. Now let's get started with this week's episode. Welcome back to Pursuing Health. This year's CrossFit Games are now right around the corner, and this week we have two brand new episodes for you with two women who are both gunning for podium finishes in Madison. The episode you're listening to now, number 63, features two-time third fittest woman on earth, Sara Sigmundsdottir, and episode number 64 features a newcomer, CrossFit Games teen Haley Adams, who finished second last year in the 14 to 15 age division and is looking for a top finish this year in the 16 to 17-year-old division. A little bit about Sara before we get started. She's 24 years old, and as you probably know, she's from Iceland. Unlike most top CrossFit Games athletes, Sara had a strong passion for music and art growing up and had very little competitive athletic background. However, in 2012, she found her way from bootcamp training to CrossFit, and it wasn't long before she made her competitive debut in 2013. After a couple of years, Sara climbed to the top of the podium at the Meridian Regional in 2015 and 2016, and she has also finished in third place at the Reebok CrossFit Games for the past 2 years. Headed into this 2017 game season, she's won both the overall CrossFit Games Open as well as the Central Regional titles. We caught up recently at CrossFit Mayhem, which she's been living and training this season for the 2017 CrossFit Games. There we discussed everything from her childhood and how she got into CrossFit to her experience at the 2015 and 2016 games and her decision to leave her home country of Iceland to live and train at CrossFit Mayhem this year. A few quick reminders before we get started. First, if you're enjoying the podcast, please head over to iTunes to subscribe and consider giving it a rating. I'm also always looking for inspiring stories to share. So if you or someone you know has used lifestyle to overcome a serious health challenge, please send your story to me at info@juliefoucher.com, and I'll select some to share here on future episodes. To check out my online training programs through Beyond the Whiteboard, visit beyondthewhiteboard.com/Julie Foucher. Finally, please remember that although I'm now officially a doctor, this podcast is meant to share the experiences of individuals and does not provide medical advice. So with that, let's get started here with episode number 63 of Pursuing Health featuring Sara Sigmundsdottir. So welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm here with Sara Sigmundsdottir. So thank you for taking the time to sit down and chat.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're here at CrossFit Mayhem, which is your new home for the time being.
Yes.
And I want to get into that later because I know you've had some big changes and transitions in your training this year, but I thought maybe we could start at the beginning and tell us what it was like to grow up in Iceland and what you were into as a kid.
Oh, so Iceland, it's always cold there. No, it was a great, so I actually, my first 4 years were here in the United States.
Oh, no way.
In Oklahoma. So my dad was studying, and all my family lived here for around 8 years, but I'm the youngest, so I moved here when I was 2 weeks old. And
wow.
Yeah.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 4.
Wow. So
3 sisters.
Family.
Yeah, 3 sisters, 1 brother.
Okay. And you're the youngest?
I'm the youngest. I'm the princess.
I see how it works. Okay. Very cool. And then you were here for 4 years, and then you moved to Iceland?
To Iceland, yeah.
Okay.
And I've lived in the same place in Iceland since I moved there. And it's a really small town. It's really close to the airport.
Okay.
And the population is around 14,000 people, which is a lot for Iceland.
Yeah.
And I mean, the population in Iceland is only 320,000, so
it's a good percentage.
Yeah, it's a good percentage there. And yeah, it's I didn't have many hobbies when I was younger, to be honest. I was always with my brother, and like Iceland is so small that you can just do whatever. Like here in the States, you always have to be aware of what you're doing. Like if I would have kids here, I would look after them so much. Like I would always be a bit afraid.
Yeah.
But in Iceland, in my small town, we could pretty much just do anything. So
It's pretty safe.
yeah, it's pretty safe, and played a lot of games outside, and yeah, I tried every sport when I was younger. Didn't like any.
Didn't like any sports?
No.
Were you
Didn't
very
like
competitive as a kid?
Yes. Like, if I was into something, I was competitive. If I didn't care, then I wasn't competitive at all. I didn't have to be the best in everything, but like if I found something that I had interest in, then I had to be the best.
Really wanted to be the
yeah.
best. What were some of those things that you liked to do when you were little?
I really liked to draw when I was little, but
Oh, cool.
yeah, but I don't do it anymore. I actually played piano for 5 years.
Wow.
And I was really into music before I started CrossFit, so played piano, I played drums.
No way.
And yeah, so
do you still do any of that now?
no, I lost everything. I was just all in CrossFit, so I stopped everything else.
Yeah. Wow, very interesting. So at what point then did you start getting into working out? Or
So I was always with my friends, and I had one best friend that I was always hanging out with, and she met a guy, started being a lot with him, so I didn't have anything else to do. So my dad was like, why don't you try spinning class with me? And I was like, oh gosh, I hate training. Okay, I'll try it. I need to lose weight if I want to have a boyfriend, so why not?
And how old are you at this point?
I'm 17 years old, yeah. So I tried spinning class, hated it, so I saw this bootcamp seminar and tried that. I was the only girl who could do push-ups on her toes, and I was like, wow, I'm pretty strong for a girl.
And you had never even trained before?
No. Like,
that was just natural for you?
Yeah, I trained in, or I tried every sport. I stayed for the longest in swimming.
Okay.
So my uncle is, or my cousin, he's a really, really good swimmer. He was really close to making it to the Olympics 2016, yeah. And so like my family's pretty athletic, but I just didn't have any interest in doing anything. I could never do anything by myself when I was little. I always had to have my best friends doing something with me.
It was more social.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and then it just started from there in boot camp, and then all of a sudden I had this competitive side. I was like, oh, that girl can do that, so I'm gonna have to, like, that girl can run faster than me. I have to improve my running, and then I was always pretty overweight, so I decided that I would compete in like a figure fitness.
Okay.
Which I did not like, but at least I lost a lot of weight, and I got like the, what do you say? The I wouldn't say it was like mental, but you have to have so much discipline to do the figure fitness.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
the
had
nutrition
to, the nutrition and everything. So I think I got my discipline there.
Okay.
Like if I can do it with food, I can do it with anything.
Right.
And
just having that goal to achieve.
And I can't remember how many times I wanted to give up, but I never did. And after that competition, I was like, wow, I can do anything right now.
Wow, that's so cool.
And there was a girl that was competing with me there that told me about this CrossFit competition, and I was like, what's that CrossFit thing? And so she's like, do you want to compete in a team? And I'm like, why not? And then I saw there was an individual category too, and I was like, oh, I'll just compete at the individual also.
Yeah.
And ended up being in, I think, second place.
Wow. So this is a competition in Iceland.
Yeah, and
you hadn't even been training CrossFit
No, I was
all?
just in a global gym, and then something called CrossFit and a competition. I was like, oh, I can just YouTube the workouts and try them.
I'll just figure it out.
Yeah, I'll just figure it out. And so I did that, and at that competition, there was a guy so in my small town, there wasn't a CrossFit gym.
Okay.
So that's why I was just in a global gym.
Yeah.
And there was a guy at that competition, which was in the capital, which is around 50 minutes from where I live.
Okay.
And he's like, you should come here, train once a week with us, and try this CrossFit. There's this competition called Open, and you have to do it every Wednesday at 5, or I don't remember what he said. And I was like, what's that Open thing? And he's like, I can't explain, just come here, do this workout that I'm going to tell you to do at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And
Had you done any weightlifting or barbell stuff?
no.
Before this? Not at all?
Not at all.
Wow.
And that was 2012. So the first workout was burpees. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty good at these burpees. And then the next workout was snatching. And I was like, snatch is probably just ground to overhead, but you can't touch your shoulders. So I did that in a global gym with, I think it was 125. I think it was the third weight, and it was like 40 snatches, 30 snatches, 20 snatches, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was the third weight, and so I muscled it up, and I couldn't drop in a global gym, and I fell with the bar, and I broke my wrist.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I had to wait.
Great first experience.
I know. It was like, this is, like, I shouldn't do this CrossFit thing. And
but amazing you were snatching 125.
I know. It was just with a
time.
narrow grip and, like, just ripping it up. Like,
wow.
if only I had a video of that.
Right. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, it took me, I think, over a year to be able to snatch 125.
And it was just power snatching.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea what squat snatches were or anything.
Yeah.
So I stopped for a whole year in CrossFit and started again January 2013. And that's where I just went to Olympic weightlifting seminar. And then I just, like, started from scratch, which I should have done before doing the Open for the first time. And made it to regionals. Was so happy about that. But the second workout in 2013, I got no rep on my, I always failed the third overhead squat. So I started too heavy. So I did the first workout, which was Jackie or something, and it was in 6th place. I was like, wow, this is going really well. And then I just started too heavy, just lack of experience of competing.
Because you had 3 attempts or 3 attempts?
I don't remember. I think you got as many attempts. In 7 minutes, but you couldn't go lower in the weight.
Okay.
So if you chose a weight, you had to go higher or make that weight.
Okay.
And I remember I always got 2. I probably did like 6 sets of 2 reps over squat, but always failed the third one. And I was like, this is okay. You'll just be in last place. This competition is just for experience. Yeah. And then they're like, you're disqualified for the competition.
No.
I was like, no.
So you didn't even get to finish that
No.
one?
So I was in Denmark, but not competing.
Oh, man.
And I was so mad. And I decided there that I should get a coach and try to compete as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because, like, I could just feel how stressed I was, and I didn't have any experience of how to compete or how my mind is when I'm competing. Like, you're such a different person when you're competing and when you're just doing a workout in your gym.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Made it to 2014. Had never done legless rope climbs or anything. No gymnastic at all. And that's where it was, like, mostly gymnastic. Finished
I remember that year. It was a lot of gymnastics. Yeah,
like the handstand walks, I think I did. I don't even remember. Like, I didn't even finish the first line. I think I just fell down. It was so bad.
Without any much athletic experience, but no gymnastics experience.
Yeah, no gymnastics.
That's a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just got so mad in 14. I was like, okay, 15 is gonna be my year.
Yeah.
And I just worked so hard, and everything came to place in 2015.
And you, at this point, are you still living in your same hometown or your small town?
Yes.
And did you have a place to train there, or at what point did you?
So I always drove to Reykjavik for like 40 minutes 2 times a week, or I just trained in the global gym and did CrossFit there.
Okay.
And we didn't even have pull-up bars or anything, so gymnastics were always really hard to approach for me.
That's amazing.
So I bought rings, and my dad hung them up in the garage so I could get my first ring muscle up.
Wow.
And it was kind of a struggle until September 2013. Yes, 2013. That's when I opened a box in my town. Okay. So finally I could train as much as I wanted.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's...
And up until that point, you were training. Where were you training at in Reykjavik?
It was called. It's not a box anymore. I started in. It's called CrossFit Stöðin. That's where Katrin trained for the first time also, and then I did a level 1, and started coaching in a box called CrossFit Kraftur, which is like CrossFit Power. And it's closed now, so.
Okay. And then you have your own box.
And now I have my own box.
And you can train whenever you want.
Yes.
But you also have a box that you're responsible for.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Different.
Yeah, I actually stopped managing it now after I moved here to the States.
Okay.
So I decided that because it's taking a lot of toll out of you when I had we started with 50 members and went up to 250.
Wow.
And people are always, because it's my box, so people always look to talk to you.
Right.
And so sometimes when I was training, people would come and talk to me for half an hour or something. So I lost all the intensity and it was getting kind of hard.
It's tough to balance.
Yeah, it's tough to balance.
I can't even imagine what CrossFit is like in Iceland. With I mean, first of all, just having so many amazing competitors coming from such a small country, but do you think that generates a lot more excitement and interest for people? Obviously, just general members joining the box and getting excited about doing it. Yeah,
I think it's also did you watch the soccer last summer?
I heard about it. I saw there was a lot of excitement.
It shows how much Icelanders stand together.
Yeah.
It's like a small family, because we're such a small country.
Yeah.
So it's in CrossFit, we're 4 girls that are really good.
Yeah.
And Björgvin also really, really good. And people just show you so much support.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good in something and you're from Iceland, that's really cool because the population is only 320.
Yeah.
And having 5 really good people is just amazing. Yeah.
Do you know of any other sport where it's like that, where there's
such a small population?
From Iceland, where there's so many great competitors that are just dominating on the world level?
I don't know. I don't think so, to be honest. Yeah. It's very interesting.
And what is your relationship like with the other, Katrin and Annie? Because obviously they had started and been to the games, and Annie had won before you had even started CrossFit. Mm-hmm. So what was it like for you as someone who's just starting out and seeing them and then being on their level?
I think they were pretty surprised.
Yeah.
I started, and when Katrin made it for the first time to the games, I had just broken my wrist, and I don't think they ever expected me to even make it to regionals or anything, but I don't know. I just watched them and I saw if they can do it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. I just need to work a little bit harder because I don't have that background, and I think that just pushed me. I wanted to show people that I could do it without having any gymnastic backgrounds or just make my background now.
It's so impressive to see, because you look at other athletes that have so much 10, 15 years of experience doing another sport, or gymnastics obviously is especially popular among the women athletes, at preparing them to be successful in CrossFit, but just to be able to start at such a late age and be able to be so dominant. It's really impressive.
It was a lot of hard work. Yeah. I'll admit that, but my dad is really, really competitive also.
Okay.
And so we have it's a strange story, but we have a hot tub at home, and I would always take a jump rope outside with me in the hot tub, and I would always finish. I couldn't go out of the hot tub without finishing 500 double unders, and I was just in my bikini in snow and doing double unders, and I did not want to fail because it hurt so much to get it onto my skin, and I always made up so many things just by doing if I was studying, I would do 15 seconds of handstand hold against the wall or something like that. Just make something up so I could get a little bit extra training in while doing something else. Use every minute of my day to get better.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
And were you always kind of like that, doing extra stuff, or I know you had different coaches along the way, but were you always trying to just pack extra stuff in, or how did that relationship work, I guess?
So I was just doing an online programming from the training plan when I started.
Okay.
And then I would just write all of my weaknesses down, and I would try to finish if legless rope climbs was on my list and it wasn't programmed, I would maybe do 10 on Saturday after my sessions or something like that. I would try to finish all my weaknesses before the week ends. Do you know what I mean?
To make sure you get all of them
done.
done.
To make sure that I got all done. And Because I'm like that. If I don't do it every week, I get so insecure when I have to do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't done leg less in 5 weeks, and now I have to do 10.
Yeah.
Like, you get so insecure. You
Right.
start to doubt yourself, and I hate that.
Right. So regular exposure.
Yes.
And cool that you did that on your own. Like, it wasn't in your programming, but you knew
Yeah.
these are my weaknesses and I need to go the extra mile to
Yeah.
focus on those.
Yeah,
'Cause
I mean,
people don't enjoy doing their weaknesses.
No. I mean, but the feeling afterwards is such a reward. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I just finished. I remember when in 2015, when the handstand walk was released, I did it every day for time. I think it was like 300 feet or
Yeah.
something. I did it every day for time because I wanted to show everybody, because I knew that everybody would doubt me in that one because of the year before, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to show everybody that I can do this and I can finish this under the time cap.
That's awesome.
And it was so hard every day. Like, when I woke up, I was like, oh my gosh, I have the handstand again today. But then in the competition, I was like, okay, you finished this a couple times in training, you can do
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah. Give yourself that confidence from
Yeah.
your training.
Exactly.
That's so true. So then you came, 2015 was kind of your big, almost like breakout year in CrossFit.
Yeah.
What do you think was the difference?
I think
that
it was
year?
just, I think most people, when they start CrossFit, they start getting better after 2 years. Then you start to recognize your body more. You start figuring out how to pace. You start knowing more of your weaknesses, and you start to work more towards them. I think it was just that for me. And I was just so mad after regionals 2014 because I knew I was in a really good shape, but not just a gymnastic shape.
Yeah.
And
So that was motivating for you.
yeah, it was so motivating because I really wanted to prove myself that I belonged at the games. Like, I was not going to be the girl that never made it to the games.
Wow. That's really cool. So, and even that year, you came out, I think you did a few other competitions leading up to regionals, and people already had their eye on you, like, this girl is going to win the games. And
Yeah.
you hadn't even made it to the games yet.
Yeah.
And then you went on and you placed first at regionals, correct? So you placed above Katrin and Annie and all these other girls. What was that like? What did you feel like after regionals?
Like, after regionals, I had like a, I don't know what it's called, but it was like I made my goal in life that was to make it to the games. And then I was like, oh gosh, I need to keep on going.
Now
like, what do I do now? Like, it was so hard, but I got like a, I don't know how you say it, but like a heel down for like 2 weeks or something. It was so hard to get motivated and train, and then I just realized, like, okay, these are my first CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Stop putting pressure on you. Just go in there, like, do your best in everything. Don't think about the others. And that's exactly what I did, and with a little mess up in the end. Which I learned from, like, people often think, like, oh, how did you feel after 2015? I was like, oh, that's a great experience for me. I mean,
first
this was
games on the podium.
Yeah.
Second, like, it doesn't get much better than
No,
that.
it doesn't get much better than that. It's
So
awesome.
how do you, with all that pressure, even before you'd been to the games and people saying, oh, she's going to win the games, how do you block that out? Or, like you said, how do you just focus on what you're doing?
It's really hard. It's just like, when you're competing, you just go into the zone and you don't think about anything else than the workouts. And I mean, it's not my problem if people get disappointed in me. If I do my very best in everything, I'm happy.
Yeah.
If I mess up, okay, that's not good. I have to learn from it instead of dragging myself down. And that's pretty much what I did after 2015. I was, for the whole year, I was always thinking about the last workout and how I messed everything up and how typical that was, instead of like, okay, Sarah, learn from this. Like, what was it that caused you to have a mental breakdown?
Yeah.
Like, so.
And what do you think, so then after 2015, what do you think it was, or like looking back and reflecting on that, what did you learn from that experience? Or maybe first, can you just tell us, maybe people who haven't seen you do that workout, what happened in that last workout, and then reflecting on it, what do you think you learned from it?
So when I think about it now, I mean, it's been 2 years, and I think the mind always exaggerates.
Yes. Exaggerates. Yeah.
Exaggerates, yeah. Like the memory of it. But my memory is, I remember, like, you always have to pee when you're competing, and you're so stressed. And I remember peeing, and I remember peeing, and my legs were like shaking like this, and I was like, "Wow, Sarah, stop shaking." And then we went out to the floor, and I was just so stressed. I don't know why I was so stressed. Maybe people got to me, like putting pressure on me or something, or I was just putting too much pressure on myself. I mean, I saw the workout, I saw the pack board, and I was like, I've never seen that thing in my entire life, but I love parallettes, so the next workout is really good for me.
Yeah.
And then it just went too hard in the parallettes and started failing a lot. We got like 3 sets of pins, and I remember going halfway up, and my last set of pins got stuck, and I was like, okay, you cannot let go, because then you can try it again. So I was like trying to push from the wall, but I couldn't, and then all of a sudden the peg got loose and hit my head, so I got a hole in my head. And it was like just my luck. I'm a really clumsy person in real life. I'm so
I'm
clumsy.
Always spilling things.
Yes, me too. Dropping things, forgetting things. I'm so clumsy, and after that happened, I was like, oh, this is typical you, Sarah. Like, you're messing the last workout up at the CrossFit Games. You could have been the rookie who won the games, but of course you messed it up now. Like, your head hurts. You can't do parallel handstand push-ups, because I failed my first parallel handstand push-up. I just all the negative thoughts started just going through my head. And I let them take over, and instead of trying to stop them and keep on going, and started looking around and seeing everybody else, and that even broke me more down. And I knew I had messed it up, or I just decided that I would have messed it up and made it even worse for myself.
It's so interesting, like you said, but learning from those experiences. I've had experiences like that in competition too. Like my one I'm thinking about now it was in 2011, and there was front squats that were 155. And for me at that time, it was so heavy. Like, I think we had to do 7, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've done that for like a set of 5. And it was just, as soon as I heard the workout, it was instant negative. Like, you're never going to be able to do 7.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you can do.
You're going to have to do multiple sets. And as soon as that, I remember thinking that even like driving to the venue and just being, you just feel unsettled, and like you don't know how to calm your mind down and get back into the right mindset.
Yeah, and you just overthink everything, and you start to think of the results instead of how you're going to approach it. And that's the worst thing you can do. But I mean, at least we learned from it.
So true. So then 2015, you kind of process all of that that had happened. Now, can we talk about some good memories too? Can you tell me about, like, I don't know if you remember any from 2015, but any like really workouts that you just felt amazing on, or did you feel like you were really in the moment?
I remember it was the best experience, or best feeling in the world, was finishing the swim event and then going to the tennis stadium. And I remember like standing in the stairs and like heard my name, and I was like, wow, this isn't a dream anymore. I am here. And it was before the sandbag event, and like it was just an amazing feeling. And cool. Of course, heavy DT was my all-time favorite memory. I was just in my zone the whole time, and everything just went to plan. And I remember finishing Friday Night Lights and going to Biology Pizza and being so happy. I was like, oh, I won a games workout. That's so cool. I deserve pizza right now.
I love it. So then what was it like going into training for the next season then, after that first games experience? Now you're an experienced competitor.
It was actually harder, to be honest. It was so much harder, because I really lived in that moment of failing. Instead of thinking about the positive things from the games, I tried to use all the negatives, like all my mistakes. I was like, oh, when I was doing a workout at my gym, I was like, oh, if you fail that's just like what you did at the games. And then I would maybe fail it in training, and then my whole day was ruined because I was so mad at myself. And I never looked at the positive side of the games 2015, because I always felt that I failed instead of I reached, or I mean, I was in third place my first year. Yeah, but I felt that I failed because I was in first place before I was in third.
Right.
So, and that's
it is interesting. It's hard. It's like to think about being in first place the whole weekend and then dropping down versus slowly climbing your way up.
Yes, yeah.
And you can end up in the same place, but how you get there can completely change your reaction to it.
It's so, yeah.
So true.
It's so hard. Like the mental side of the CrossFit Games is the hardest thing.
Absolutely.
The workouts are easy compared to the mental side.
Yes. Yes. So what have you done to try to develop that mental side and the mental approach? Because it seems like you have really great awareness now of like what happened and how to shift your mindset.
I read a lot of I read one book that told me like learn from experience from the best. Do you know what I mean? So like I started like looking at more of the other athletes, like not CrossFit athletes, but like Michael Phelps.
Okay.
Like I read the Rich Froning book before the games. Like just seeing that other amazing athletes are also human beings. You often forget that.
So true.
Like before I came here and before I met Rich, he was just he was my idol.
Yeah.
Like a guy that can win the games 4 times. Like that mental toughness is just unreal. And seeing how he approaches things, like reading his book is so awesome because now I've met everybody that are in the book.
Them,
like he told me like, or he says in the book, like CrossFit is just hard work. Like you just have to work. And my dad is a hard worker, so I like to work hard too. So I was like,
you can relate to that.
I can relate to that. And then I see his dad here and he's always working. I was like, I know what you mean now.
I can speak your language.
I can speak your language now, yeah. But like it's just seeing how other athletes approach things helps you or gives you an idea how you can approach. Either you relate to it or you don't. Yeah. So I tried reading a lot of books of other athletes and watching some YouTube videos and just learning from everybody. It's
so true. I think too, like you said, spending time here with other athletes and realizing that they are human and they all go through the same things.
Yes, exactly.
That was such an eye-opening experience for me too, once I had the opportunity to start to train a few times with different games athletes and you're out of the competition environment and you really see that people have insecurities just like you and they have bad days and we're all going through the same things and it's kind of similar to what you said. If they can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
It gives you some confidence.
And I remember it's fun to see like you have a terrible training day and you think that you're the only one that experienced that stuff. And then like when Tia and Katrin and Camille were here, you were here, seeing everybody how they approach training. If they fail a lift, they fail a lift. Like when I fail a lift in the beginning, I was like crying because I felt that I was not strong anymore. Like, come on, Sarah, you're a human being. Like, it's just fun to see that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Were there any other things that you learned from maybe that weekend that was just a month or two ago that when there were so many top female athletes here from training together or watching their approach?
I mean, it was like a weird atmosphere here.
Yeah.
Can't admit that, but I mean, we all just have our different approaches, and it's amazing to see how they approach things and how different. Like me and Tia, I would say we have like the similar approaching. Okay. We don't plan our workouts the day before. We come in and we have like this stuff in our head and we're like, okay, this is what I need to finish today. Then I can add this also to it. And I really like that kind of stuff. Like Katrin has everything written down before she comes into the gym and does that. That's not good for me because if I have something written down and I'm going to sleep the day before, I start stressing about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe tomorrow I will fail in that one, or like, oh gosh, this is going to be so hard. Instead of just seeing the workout, okay, I need to approach it like this, and doing it.
You don't have too much time to think.
Yeah, exactly. I've tried both ways, and this way is better for me now.
For you.
Yeah.
So when you because we can talk about it now, you have had this sort of transition where you had coaches for a couple years.
Yeah, I had a coach for 1 year from January 2016, or we started working a little bit together before the games 2015, but
Okay.
I was still using programming from the training plan, and he was just assisting me
Okay.
for the games, and sometimes we changed the workouts and
Yeah.
everything. But we started working like individually together around January, and I mean, he helped me a lot, but I just felt that he couldn't help me more.
Okay.
So, okay, to be honest, I have a really hard time letting people control me.
Yeah.
I know myself the best, and I know how I should approach things, and that's what's worked for me since I started CrossFit. Like, it's good to have a basic program for lifting and everything, so you're doing like different cycles, and it depends on like where you are in your training season, but like CrossFit is just so like varied.
Yes.
Did I say right?
Varied, yeah.
Varied,
and unexpected.
Yeah,
you
and
never
unexpected.
Know.
You never know
can't
what's gonna
plan too
happen. Yeah, like you can't overthink so many things in CrossFit, and I feel that some coaches start to overthink all the small things that then leads to you being insecure because you start to overthink things instead of just approaching them.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a kind of hard thing to explain, but I felt like I knew myself the best, and if I feel that somebody's trying to control me too much or trying to hold me back, which sometimes is a good thing, I just feel insecure, and I want to approach it in my way, so I'll be more secure at the games instead of relying on somebody else.
Yeah. So you feel comfortable with how you're going to approach it, and then you have like no one else can have that same experience of doing the workouts and knowing how your body feels and what works for you.
Yeah. And I just felt like at the games and everything, I just want to do it my way because my way is going to make me most secure. Instead of hearing somebody's other side and trying to make somebody else proud, I want to do it my way and make myself proud. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It does. What else do you think you're looking for when you decided, okay, I want to move on and maybe work with someone else or do something different? What do you think you're looking for in a coach or a training environment?
So I've always trained by myself since I started CrossFit.
Wow.
And I just had enough of that. And
That's so hard.
Yeah, it's mental hard.
Amazing. I mean, it's amazing that you did that for so long because there's been a year here and there that I've trained by myself a lot, but it's so much harder. And I remember just waking up in the morning and I was like, okay, it's 9 o'clock and I'm going to be here until 9 tonight also. And it's like, I was so mentally drained. Like there was nobody to push me, nobody to like make me start a workout. Like if you're training with somebody, it's like, oh my gosh, she's getting ready. I have to start getting ready too. You can just drag everything for as long as you want, and like all the intensity can like get a little bit lost, and there's nobody to push you, and it's not fun anymore. Yeah. Like I remember just like waking up and like, oh, I don't want to do CrossFit today. So when you woke up and you had moments like that, what would motivate you or what would keep you going?
Just thinking about like all the other girls who are training. Are you really not going to train? Like. It's not an excuse to not wanting to do something. Like you have to have a real excuse if you don't want to train, and that would be injury or something.
Right.
But
so we skipped 2016. So then you went into 2016.
Yes.
You have your coaches that you'd been working with since January.
Yes.
You were motivated a lot. At what point did you start? Were you always having that sort of negative? You talk about having that negative talk and like focusing on that last workout so much.
Yeah, I was always self-doubt.
Okay.
Always when I did a workout, I was like, this wasn't good enough. You suck at CrossFit. Why are you even doing CrossFit? You're so bad at it. I was so
mean to yourself.
I was so mean to myself, and like if somebody else would say that to me, I would cry so much because I would get so hurt.
Yeah.
And then thinking that I'm always saying these things to me just made me realize how crazy I was getting. And all for one competition. I was like, this is not worth it. Yeah. Like, this is your mental side. And
at what point did that happen? Did you start to realize?
It was, I I think it was after the games. So I tried to take some time off after 2016 games, and I just realized like I heard Matt Fraser actually say this in an interview. We did a Nike Q&A straight after the games, and people were like, what did you change from the last year and this year? And he's like, I started enjoying it again. And I was like, oh, what does he mean by that? And then he explained it to me. He was like, I was only in 2015, I was only thinking about winning the games. In 2016, I was only thinking about like why I started CrossFit, why I got into this, why I love it. And that's what kept me motivated. Like, you're doing this because you love feeling the pain and like getting so tired afterwards that you can barely walk to the car. Like, that's why I love CrossFit. Like, I remember when I started CrossFit, I was like, oh, nice, I can eat more now because this is so hard. So that was my motivation. Like, I would always reward myself by eating. And like, everything just got so serious after 2015 that I stopped enjoying myself. And I remember coming to the games and I was like, oh, I can't wait until this is over. And like, I made it to the CrossFit Games for the second year, and I couldn't wait until it was over. And I was like, this is just not the right mindset. So I realized there that I had to change a lot of things. Straight after 2016. Which I've been working on a lot, and I'm like, even my mom, she was asking me at the games 2016, like, where's my Sarah? This isn't you. I haven't seen you smile one time, and you're always smiling. Where are you? I'm like, stop, Mom. But it was true. Like, I wasn't myself in 2016, and I've been working a lot on my mental side.
That's good. So did you take some time off?
I tried. I went to Hawaii and met Aaron that owns CrossFit Poipu. So, I mean, I only did fun training, and I did a lot of surfing, and so it was, I took time off from serious CrossFit.
Like no pressure.
No pressure, just the fun stuff.
That's nice. And then when you went back home, you knew something had to change, so where did you start from there?
So I stopped working with my coach, and then I went to the States and did the invitationals. And then I made it to Dubai competition. And I had been working a lot on my mental side from like September until the Dubai, which was in December. And when I competed there, finally I felt like, okay, Sarah's back. Like, this is fun again. And that's when I realized, like, okay, what have I been doing leading up to the Dubai? I trained with Sam a lot. I went to Spain to train with her. Before Dubai, I trained with my best friend Carmen. I was like, okay, I need a better environment to train, so this will be fun again. So I talked to Rich before the games 2016. So he was in a room, like, just across my room at the hotel, and I think he got locked out. And I was walking to my room, and I was like, okay, this is my only chance to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him. And so I talked to him, and he was like, and I said to him, if I win the CrossFit Games, can I please come and train in Mayhem for 1 week or something? It's been my dream since I started. And he was like, wow. You're always welcome here. And just text me whenever you want to come. So I had his number, and I just decided on my way back from Dubai, when I was on my flight, I was like, I need changes. So I was like, I'll text him right now so I won't, like, postpone it or something. And so I texted him, and he's like, oh, you're always welcome. Just come whenever you want, and we have a place for you to stay. And so when I came to Iceland, I asked for a 6-month visa, because we can only stay here for 3 months at a time, and then we have to go back to Iceland and come back. But if you have like a travel visa, I think it's called, you can stay for 6 months, go back, and so I got my visa in February, 16th of February, and don't think that I'm going back to Iceland yet. I went to Atlanta to train with Travis Meyer a little bit. He's a Nike athlete and a Mission 6 athlete, and I did the first open workout with him, and then I drove here, and it was like the first day that I was training here, I was like, wow, this kind of feels like home. And I just loved it so much. I'm staying with the manager of the gym, Yvette, Mama Mayhem, and she's amazing. And her daughter just moved to New York, so she was like, you're just in her place now. I was like, okay.
You have a mom to
Yeah,
take care of you.
I have an American mom. I have a great gym. It's just everything fell into place when I came here, and I was supposed to move to California, but I don't know. I just didn't want to leave.
Yeah, you just felt at home.
Yeah, I just felt at home. I mean, Kukul is kind of like Iceland, but with better weather, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
there's nothing around here than to train. Just what you need, and with good weather.
Yeah, perfect. And great people.
Yeah, and
It
great
works.
people, and it's just awesome.
Yeah. So what else do you think about being here has had a positive impact on your mindset or your training?
I started to enjoying to come to train again. Like in Iceland, I was waking up and dreading to go to the gym. So sometimes it would take me like 1.5 hours to get ready, like which should just take me half an hour. But here it's like, ooh, yay! I'm like waking up and feeling excited. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the day, like what training we're gonna do, and it's just. And I know it's always going to be hard, and it's always going to be fun. Like, you're not the only one that's feeling the pain. Like, you see somebody else do the same workout as you, and that pushes you so much.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, if they can do it, I can also do it. And that's what I needed in Iceland. I was always alone and feeling sorry for myself. I was like, oh, my workouts are just so hard. They're not possible. And then, like, if I would think like that here, and then I would see somebody else do it, and I'm like, okay, this is possible. I have to go faster.
They're doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it.
So how do you approach the training day here? Do you come in, do you do everything that the team does?
No,
or
not,
do you do your own?
Yeah, so I have like, I mean, when I've been in CrossFit for around 4 years now, and I pretty much know what I need to work on. And so like Mondays are my squat days and snatch days. And it depends on what CrossFit thing they're doing, if I join them or if I don't. If they're doing a 1 hour team training session, I might not do that. Yeah. And it just depends on what they're doing. If they're doing an individual workout, of course I'll join them in that, and like Rich pushes me, and Dre also, which is competing in at regionals, Angelo. Like, it's just so much fun to do a workout with other people. Sometimes when they do a team workout, I just changed it into an individual workout, which can be quite hard also.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but it's, every day is different.
Okay. So do you have certain, like you said, you do squat and snatches on Mondays, but do you have like certain things, or how do you plan out when you get to the gym to make sure that you get everything you need to do in a week? Yeah,
I have everything like written down. Like, okay, Mondays are like the weightlifting and squats. I have them like Wednesdays I would come in and I have to do a heavy deadlift, and then I have to do like 6 sets of 6 of deadlifts, and Tuesdays that's power snatches and squat cleans. Saturdays are heavy squat clean and jerks, and like I have it all written down, like what I need to accomplish weightlifting wise and squat wise. And but the gymnastic, it depends on what I've done. Like if I would do pegboard on Monday, and I wouldn't add that as an accessory on Friday. Okay. But if I wouldn't have done pegboard on Mondays, I would add that as an accessory on Friday or Saturday. Okay. Like I have all the things written down that I need to accomplish every week. And on Wednesday I can kind of see like what I have left and what I need to add.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a different thing.
Do you take regular rest days, or how do you approach that?
Yes. So I take half days on Thursdays.
Okay.
And then I get a massage in the afternoon. It's like a cozy day. And on Sundays, sometimes I do active recovery, and sometimes I rest completely. Okay. It just depends on how my body feels. Yeah. I try to listen to my body. This can be pretty hard sometimes. Yeah. But I try to take Sundays a little bit easier. Like recovery or rest completely. Depends on the weather too.
And do you have a typical daily schedule then for the regular work day?
I mean, I'm here from like 8:30 to around 6-7ish, and then I just go home, cook, food prep, and then the day starts again.
Wow. And do you take you do a few workouts, take a break here?
Yeah, it depends on. I mean, I sometimes try to get something in before the team gets here.
Okay.
So I would do my thing until like 9:30, see what they're gonna do, and if they're doing something that I can also join, I would do that with them. If they're doing something just team-wise, I would maybe put my lifting in there. And then it's often like we train from around 8 to 12:31ish, 2-hour break, 3 to around 6. And then I have my garage gym now.
I saw.
Yes.
Yvette is building out the garage.
Yeah, Mama Mayhem's gym. That's what we're calling it now.
That's very nice. So do you sometimes do some more when you go home at night?
So I've only had it for around a week now.
Oh, okay.
I've trained 3 times in it. It's better. I like to get training in as soon as I wake up, just to like
Before you
start
eat
the day.
anything,
Yeah, and it's so nice to train without people having to look at you. So you can just take whatever clothes and look terrible and train.
Just get yourself moving and waking up.
Yeah.
I love it. And now I know you love food, and we talked about this already, but what is your approach when it comes to food or nutrition?
So I'm doing macros now.
Okay.
And
how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that since August, but changing around a little bit.
Okay.
So I haven't quite found. So I started in August, and it went really well until I came here. Then all of a sudden my stomach was hurting, and I was always like really bloated, and I was always hungry though I was eating, and it was a weird feeling. I was like, what is happening? Is it because I'm not drinking the Icelandic water? I was like, what is happening
the
to
water
me?
is different.
The water is everything
secret.
water. No, so I talked to Jess that's here in Mayhem, Darren's wife. She's a nutritionist, and we did like a hemocode test.
Okay.
And so everything that I was eating, I was intolerant for.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to change a lot now. I had to take all of dairy out, all the whey protein, egg whites.
Is it different? Do you think the quality of food is probably much different in Iceland?
I don't know. It might have also just been like your body reacts differently because of like I was traveling a lot, and there was a lot of stress going on.
A big transition.
Yeah, big transition, and like leaving your family, all your friends, and it was a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
And I think my body just reacted to that.
Yeah.
And that's what made it like more, how do you say it? Not delicate, but like more.
Yeah, you're more susceptible to reacting that way.
Yeah.
And so once you removed those certain foods, have you been?
I've been much better.
Much better.
So everything's falling into place now.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
And so back to macros.
Yes.
Do you like doing that? Has it been good for your training?
It's been very good for my training. I felt it at the games this year that I was like always just eating something, and sometimes I had energy and sometimes I didn't. So I put it like before I started the macros, I started counting what I was eating, and I was eating around 110 grams of fat, which is so much, and only 200 grams of carbs, and then like 180 grams of protein. So like now,
a little off balance.
Yeah, now I'm like 60 grams fat, 375 grams carbs, and 185 protein. And that's just perfect. That's like a hard day of training. But like taking out the fat and putting carbs instead is just a life changer.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. And so do you still have your cheat days or your pizza or your ice cream, or do you postpone that until after the games?
Until after regionals,
After
actually.
regionals.
So after the Open, I mean, I had to reward myself.
I saw your amazing day after the Open. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Did amazing winning the Open. That has to give you a lot of confidence for this season.
It's just the weird thing is that that wasn't even my goal. Like, I've never been so relaxed in the Open, and then all of a sudden everything falls into place. It's like, oh, okay, that was fun.
It's like Matt said, like you're just enjoying yourself, and then it will happen.
Exactly. And so the girls, because I'm always talking about food, and they know how much I love food, they're like, Sarah, now you really have to, like, eat something that you love. And I was like, okay, after the Open, we'll all eat like whatever we want for one day, for one evening. So we went up to Hillary and Froning's house, and before we went there, we bought everything we could in Kroger that was unhealthy. Like, if we wanted barbecue chips, we bought them. If we wanted sour cream and onion chips, we bought them. And I was like, okay, I want to make like a burger pizza, because I couldn't choose from a burger or a pizza which one I wanted. Yeah. So I just made one thing out of it. It was so good. And I'm going to have that kind of day after regionals also. Yeah.
Too.
But like my cheat day now is just, I don't have to count my macros in the evening. And I can, like, if I want, I can eat something that I want. But it's like when you're focusing on a goal, you're not.
You almost don't want to.
Yeah, you almost don't want
so
to. Yeah, exactly. But like if I feel tired and I need more energy, of course I'm going to eat a little bit more than I have to. But it's not going to be pizza.
Very good. Awesome. Well, it's so good to see you in such a good environment and such a good place.
It's amazing.
And are you going into the season with any sort of goal, or are you just focusing on really enjoying yourself?
I mean, of course, I have a goal of doing better than last year, but my main goal is just enjoying myself and having fun with everything and giving it my absolute best, not what I like, not other people's opinion what is the best. So like, yeah, just focusing on myself instead of thinking about others. That's
Have
my
you
main
learned
goal.
anything else, or being around Rich and around this team here, is there anything else that you think you've learned from them about approaching training or competition? Or
stay relaxed.
Yeah.
That's what, like, Rich, he approaches workouts so, like, he's always so relaxed and so secure. And it's crazy. Like, I go all in the beginning and then I die. Well, he's like just breathing through his nose in the first 5 rounds, and then the last 5 rounds are like bam, all out. It's just, you just see how he approaches things and you try to relate to it, but you have to do your own thing. It's you can learn from what other people do, but you always have to find like the balance of what is good for you.
What works for you. Yeah.
Like what works for Rich might not work for me, but seeing all the team, and I mean, they all approach things so differently, but you can always learn from each and one of them.
Absolutely. So good to be around so many amazing athletes.
Yeah.
So true. Anything else that you're doing otherwise to support your training besides nutrition or recovery, or anything else, mindset or mental game?
I mean, of course, working on the mental game, and like what I just started now was trying to do. So I have such a hard time relaxing. I always want to be doing something, because when I relax, I feel like I'm just wasting my time doing nothing.
I feel you on that one.
It's
so hard.
Yeah, it's so hard.
I've been trying to meditate, and it's
oh my gosh, me too.
I've been doing it for a couple weeks, and I still feel like I spend like 1 minute meditating and 19 minutes thinking about all the things I have to do.
Me too. I tried there's an app on the phone. I don't remember what it was called.
Headspace, maybe?
Headspace,
yes,
yeah. It did not.
One.
Yeah. It doesn't work for me, because when he says like, and just let all your thoughts go out, I'm like, then I start to think about all my thoughts. I'm like, this thought, go out, stop thinking about it, stop thinking about it. It doesn't work for me. But so my new thing to relax is hot bath every night with magnesium salt.
I love that. Yeah.
And I have to read 10 pages of a book.
Okay.
That's my way to relax.
That's very good. I find that I don't take them as often as I would like, but I find that helps me relax a lot.
Yeah, it helps a lot, and it helps a lot with recovery also. So I used to take an ice bath every night. That did not work for me, because I was so stressed every time.
Yeah, that might work in the morning.
Yeah,
I've done the cold shower in the morning.
Yeah,
that can help you wake up.
Cold shower. Oh, I should start doing that.
I don't know. I think you have enough stress going on, but oh, that's good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so hot bath, read 10 pages.
Any particular book you're reading now?
I'm reading Ronda Rousey.
Ooh.
Yeah, I love that book.
Very good.
And I have a few books that are on my list.
On your list. Okay. What? Any ones that?
The Barbarian Surfer.
I don't know that.
You know? Okay.
No.
It's about a surfer.
Okay.
It's about a pro surfer. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have The Untethered Soul.
Okay.
And I don't have anything on the list after that.
Very cool.
So if you have any good book, you can tell me.
Okay, I'll think about it. I love, though, like reading about other athletes. And
yes, it's so much fun. Like, I love it. because you can relate so much to them.
And other sports too, because I think we
Yes.
get so focused on CrossFit, and it is nice to be able to try to learn something from someone who's going through similar things, but in a
Yes.
completely different sport.
Exactly.
So true. Okay. Well, I want to finish with 3 questions I ask everyone. So the first one is the 3 things you do on a regular basis that have the biggest positive impact on your health.
Okay. So, could you give me an example?
Like working out, like taking a hot bath at night, like eating healthy, whatever you think makes you most healthy.
Most healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say, of course, eating healthy that's my biggest success if I don't eat anything unhealthy for a whole day. I always have to reward myself, though, with like 1 protein bar.
Okay.
So that's my reward for eating healthy throughout the day.
Like a chocolate flavored one or something?
Oh, yes. Or
of
cookie
course.
dough flavored.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And I would say, of course, training. But sometimes you can train too much that it's not healthy anymore. And I think CrossFitters are a little bit in that category instead of thinking like less can be more.
Yeah. I think, too, competition is so different from regular CrossFit, and I don't think it is. Like, if we were aiming for ultimate health long-term in our lives, it's probably not healthy the way that we are training for competition.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're working towards a different short-term goal.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing. Wow, this is hard. I feel like the only thing that I do is train and eat. I don't know, it can be more healthy than that.
Do you sleep a lot?
Oh, actually, I have a really hard time sleeping.
Really?
So, yeah. So, I would say the hot bath, like trying to relax for one part of the day, has helped me the most right now.
Okay, and that's helped you sleep a little better,
Yeah,
too?
helped me sleep, helped me like approach things more, gives me more discipline.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, that maybe works for my next question, is usually one thing that you're working on or that you think would have an impact on your health, but you have a hard time doing it.
Yeah, I have a really hard time making myself relax. So
Relax,
the hot
I
bath
see.
I'm always thinking like, maybe I should just do it every other day. And then I'm like, okay, if you do it every other day, it's going to end up being once a week. And then it's going to end up being once a month. And then you're just going to stop doing it.
Right. Because you do have to plan for it and be like, make sure you go to bed early enough. And
exactly.
All that stuff.
So it's like eating dinner, bath, eating a late night snack,
Yeah.
my reward.
Then bed.
Sleep. Yes.
Perfect nighttime routine.
Yeah.
All right, my last question is, what does a healthy life look like to you?
Being happy. I think that's just what matters the most. Like, people often think that healthy is being skinny and looking good. It's so not true. Like, so many people look really good, but they're so unhappy. And I think when you find the things that make you happy, then you're living a healthy life. And of course, I mean, you can't be like obese and be happy and be healthy. Like, there's some line between that.
Sure.
So I would say, like, looking at your health is like eating 80% healthy, but giving you rewards sometimes, like
Enjoying
living life.
yourself.
Yeah, enjoying yourself.
Can't be all about restriction.
No,
or
exactly, and discipline and everything.
Yes.
Like, you have to let go sometimes, because if you don't, you're just gonna snap.
So true.
And being around people that just make you happy. I think that's a healthy life.
I love it. What are some things that bring you happiness?
Puppies.
Puppies.
Dogs. I love animals, and I mean, food, being around people, just watching a movie and eating is just one of my favorite things with my friends.
Yeah.
That's just, if somebody would ask me like, hey, do you want to go to this party, or do you want to stay home and eat and watch Harry Potter, I would be like, sold. Harry Potter. Yes.
I'm with you on that one. That's amazing. And your family, what has it been like being away from your family and moving here?
It's been hard because of the time difference.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so my rule before I moved, I was like, I have to talk to everybody at least 3 times a week and like call my mom and dad every day. which has not gone well.
It's hard, yeah.
It's so hard because like when they're in work, I'm training, and when they're like eating dinner, I'm training again. When they're going to sleep, I'm finishing training.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to find like the
right
limit.
balance
Yeah,
for
the
that.
balance there.
But it's so cool to see you in such a good environment. And
Yeah, I mean, there are no distractions here. In Iceland, like, I felt bad if I hadn't visited my grandma that week or something. So I would maybe be like, try to hurry up the training a little bit more to go visit her instead of like here. There's nothing that's waiting for me. It's only training, eating healthy, and resting. Like just these 3 things.
Amazing. Such
Yeah.
good focus.
Yes.
So much positive energy. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm super excited for you.
Thank you
I'm
so
excited
much.
to watch you this season, and glad to see you in such a good place now
Thank
and
you.
smiling and happy.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I love how Sara took matters into her own hands this season when she realized she wasn't enjoying training anymore and knew she had to make a change. I can't imagine what it's like to move to a completely new country without your family, but I'm so glad that Sara found a supportive and encouraging environment to train in. I think it speaks volumes to her commitment to doing everything she possibly can to optimize her performance as a CrossFit Games athlete. Have you ever made a change in your environment that had a positive impact on your motivation, happiness, and overall well-being? Let me know in the comments below this post on my website, juliefouché.com. To make sure you never miss an episode and to receive exclusive content from me, head to my website, juliefouché.com, and subscribe to my email list. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and consider giving the podcast a 5-star rating on iTunes. Also, don't forget to share your stories. If you or someone you know has used lifestyle to overcome a serious health challenge, please send me an email at info@juliefouché.com. I'll choose some of these inspiring stories to share here on future episodes. Don't forget you can train with me through Beyond the Whiteboard by visiting trainwithjuliefouché.com. Thank you again so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time on Pursuing Health. This episode is brought to you by MobilityWOD. Do you struggle to get into good positions in your training and workouts? Are your movement compensations causing you undue pain and grief? MWOD's belief is that every human being should be able to perform basic maintenance on themselves. For nearly 10 years, MobilityWOD has been the go-to for the world's best athletes and teams. Do you know what hundreds of Olympic and world-class athletes, professional teams in the NFL, MLB, basketball, hockey, rugby, and soccer, and dozens of universities all have in common? They use MobilityWOD to train and compete at their best. I first took Dr. Kelly Starrett's Movement and Mobility course in 2013, and since then have read his books and followed his videos for ideas on how to address my own movement restrictions. But sometimes having all this information can become overwhelming, which is why I think the real genius is in the MWOD subscription. As part of this subscription, you have access to not only hundreds of hours of video content that can be filtered based on your specific questions, but also a daily 10-minute MobilityWOD video. You just log in and follow Kelly's instructions as if he is there coaching you in person for 10 minutes per day. You may pick up certain exercises that you wish to incorporate on a regular basis before or after your workouts. But at the very least, by following this daily program, you know you are addressing a wide range of movement patterns and body parts on a regular basis without having to think about it. I often do these sessions first thing in the morning or before bed as a way to wind down from the day. In addition, you have access to an on-ramp sequence and a 14-day mobility challenge that helps you understand the basics and identify the areas you personally need to focus on. You can lean on the MWOD community and discussion boards to learn from others who have been through similar situations or injuries. And if you need more personalized help, you can use the MWOD list to find a like-minded practitioner in your area. It's easy to become part of the MobilityWOD community, but for being a Pursuing Health listener, you can receive 20% off an annual membership with code JulieFouché. That's JuliefouCher. Just visit www.mobilitywod.com. Full potential, full power.